So I'm not going to talk about our 27 channel brands, 1.8 billion homes, global subscribers, all that kind of stuff. I really only want to talk about content because really that's the interesting stuff that we do. The biggest challenge that Discovery has really is to stand out from the crowd and to shout as loudly as our terrestrial competitors and fulfill the promise that the brand brings. And we do that in a number of ways. Firstly, through scale and ambition, producing shows that you would expect to see on any terrestrial channel, great on-screen talent, ensuring that we have readily recognisable faces, by investing properly in content. We're investing now more than we ever have done in our entire history, over $1 billion this year alone. And by filming people who are doing extraordinary things. Discovery's created a whole new department devoted to production and development. It's based in London, and it's headed by Julian Bellamy, who used to head up creative services at Channel 4. And with that, we've also increased the investment. We're committed to working with the very best producers in the UK on a range of genres, some, as you'd expect, around survival and adventure, engineering, turbo, auto, and human science. And let me just talk about a few things that they've come up with. How We Invented the World is a major blue chip landmark series telling stories around the eureka moments that led some of the world's greatest inventions, things like cars, planes, mobile phones and computers. One Car Too Far, which is out in October in the UK if you wanted to watch it, follows two guys, an ex-SAS survival expert, Gary Humphreys, and motoring guru, Bill Wu, as they drive themselves out of some of the most isolated places on Earth. So it's kind of part survival, part gearhead. Salvage Hunters follows Drew Pritchard and his band of merry men who run an extremely successful salvage business. And they find and reveal real jewels and collectibles and basically do them up and sell them for a profit. Superhuman Search, from a man that swallows jackhammers to a guy that can hold his breath for 20 minutes underwater. And then I have to mention Ed Stafford, Naked and Marooned. Ed Stafford was the first man to walk the entire length of the Amazon River, 4,000 miles, took him over 2.5 years. And we filmed him and we presented that last year. He's an amazing bloke. This time we've left him marooned on an island, a desert island, with no food, no water, and not a single stitch of clothing. The idea is to see if he can survive for 60 days, and it's one that we're really excited about. Our viewers really want great storytelling. It's sadistic as well, isn't it? Our viewers really want great storytelling, but also knowledge and nourishment at the same time. And it's something that we've been perfecting over 25 years. And I hope you'll agree after seeing the short tape, that's what we've done.
Inventions elicit a sense of wonder. What I'm driving is way more important than where I'm going.
Great buildings really have a big impact, not just on the mind, but on the body.
There's just a thrill about seeing the world go by quickly.
On my smartphone, I definitely feel naked. Let's go.
We might be going submarining here in a second. Stop! I'm freaked out right now.
I'll use this seatbelt. I'm gonna make a harness with it. That's it, we've got it. Whoa!
Can't win here.
Bill, stop!
It's the sort of scrapyard I dream about. It just oozes authenticity.
Is that something that's for sale? I would consider selling it, but I'd want a lot of money for it.
Oh, it's going to ask like £1,500, £2,000 for it.
£500? £500.
2 months. What on earth have you let yourself in for?
I'm going to be dropped off naked with absolutely nothing except for the camera recording equipment that I'm taking with me. And what I want to do is prove that you can flourish on an island like this and that you can thrive. I don't think you can get more of a boy's own adventure than that.
Can I hack it? Can I get through it? Can I survive?
All around the world are people with incredible abilities. This time, the search for the ultimate superhuman in endurance. Identifying and assessing the superhumans, 3 pioneering scientists.
As far as I'm concerned, that would be enough to kill a normal person.
The scientists will declare just one as the ultimate in superhuman endurance.
Oh
my God.
Very good. It's time now for me to introduce today's speaker. I'm extremely pleased to be able to make an introduction to a man whose career spans 2 decades, taking in both agency roles at Mindshare and then more recently at Philips. His role at Philips has grown to include not only traditional media but search and campaign effectiveness, informing both media placement and the creative direction. I was also fascinated to find out that he has other interests such as cricket and actually plays in a league in the Netherlands, and also music, and we're not talking just listening. In fact, he's a vocal performer with performance tours and published CDs to his credit. So I'm not sure if he's actually going to be demoing those last 2 things for us today, but it's my great pleasure to introduce Global Head of Media for Philips, Sital Banerjee.
Thank you. That is 120 years of innovation in 2.5 minutes for you. But really proud of the company that we work for. Kaise ho Sonu?
I'm good,
Namaste.
thank you. Namaste.
Shall we do it in Hindi or?
I don't think so.
Or given that this is Friday afternoon after lunch, we don't tax their brains that much.
Mine is a bit rusty. Hi, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sonu Singh. I'm the editor of M&M Global. And thank you, Sital, for being here. As you said, beautiful Friday afternoon outside. So for all the folks sitting inside, we'll try and keep it as informal as possible. And as you just heard about Sital and his journey in the industry, we will try and dip into some of that and try to learn from some of those experiences. There are no Chatham House rules this afternoon. This chat will be followed by Q&A, questions from the floor. There are a few rules there, though. I would like people with questions, and I'm hoping there'll be quite a lot of them, to introduce themselves by the names and the name of the company that they're from. Also, absolutely no pitching allowed. I've been told I do have the mandate to stop if at all you do try and pitch to Sital. Let's start with the way your role has changed. You've been at Philips since 2006. And what I would like to start with is if you could discuss your journey within the company and how that's changed as well, because your role has grown, as was just discussed, to include search and effectiveness management, both creative and media side.
I think Philips as a company and the experience that I have had in maybe 5% of the entire timeline that we saw. I have been working for 6 years of the 120 years. I think it's been an amazing journey to convey it very shortly. And maybe from a company with such a long history, a company with such deep-rooted heritage in technology, in invention, in innovation, you wouldn't expect less. For many of our consumers, Philips is an iconic brand. Every other day we hear stories from very proud owners of Philips, people who have, through generations, they have owned Philips products and they are so proud and come and tell us about it. There are people who have worked through generations as Philips employees and they are so proud of it. And that's what inspires us and motivates us to get out of our beds and go and try and make it an even greater place to work and an even bigger brand than it is today. What I have seen in the past 6 years is a lot of change, a lot of transformation within the company. And I think that transformation, that change is necessary to make sure that we are continuing to keep ourselves relevant to the consumers of today. To make sure that we are building on the foundation as a brand that we have historically and making it even stronger brand. And so yes, it's been an incredible journey within the company. If I then go on to the function that I head up, which is media, again, we have come a long, long way if I look back compared to the time when I joined the company. I mean, today I have media experts that I have really picked up in all our key markets who speak the same language that we would understand. Previously there was none. We have a clear way of doing things when it comes to media and communication. Good strategies, very good overall guidances, etc., that we have adopted and worked together. We have marketeers who have a much better knowledge of media. So they also talk in terms of the same language that we have. We have done extensive trainings through our marketeers, both centrally as well as in the markets, to bring them up to speed of what's going on in that space. And then we have excellent media agency partners. We have excellent communication agency partners that we work with. And I think overall media owners, such as many of who are in the room, with whom we have, through the years, we have brought many of our ideas to life and we have benefited from them. So overall, it's been an incredible journey for me personally, and the people I have met, the contacts that we have established, the great work that we have done. That's really motivating, and that's something that we will need to continue moving on and building on further.
And what about the changes in the industry? The industry, as we know, in fact, we've been discussing it this afternoon earlier, how the industry has moved on in the last, say, in less than a decade, in fact, with the ecosystem becoming so very complex. Mm-hmm. Now you have trading desks, you know, we've got DSPs. It has become very complex. Is it quite an interesting place to be at? Or exciting?
I would like to ask the audience, I mean, what are the key changes that you have seen in the past 5-6 years in the industry? Maybe just shout out loud, you know, and then I can build upon on that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything beyond digital and social, etc. I mean, for me, the way I look at it, frankly, yes, there has been so much that has happened in the digital space. I mean, even things like iPhones and iPads, they've all come into being in the past 5-6 years, right? But what I see has also happened in the past few years is this entire recession that the world has seen, like not seen in a long, long time. Now, that obviously has had very negative implications on a lot of things. But what I see positive coming out of that is, I believe us as advertisers, us as agencies, and us as media owners, we have started understanding the benefits of collaboration during this period. We also have matured a lot very fast due to all the negatives that the recession has brought with it. We have started working together. We have sort of, I feel we have come down from our high grounds and seen that my future depends on your future, and your future depends on someone else's future. So we need to collaborate more and work together towards common objectives. That I see as one change that at least from my point of view, I've seen in the past 5-6 years. The other change that I have seen, again, possibly due to a lot happening in the digital space, is this entire talk about return on investment. I think the amount of discussion that we are having around ROI is something that we cannot just brush under the carpet anymore. That is something that we all have to be answerable towards. And like the grand old man of advertising, David Ogilvy said, we sell or else. And there I believe when he said we sell or else, he is talking about sell in the marketplace, not selling GRPs or reach or frequency or whatever you have. The reason advertisers are putting in their dollars is to make more sales in the markets, to get more consumers. And unless there is that accountability of whatever comes in between to make that contact happen, I don't think we are doing a great job. And that discussion of ROI, certainly within my organization, is huge and immense. And I see that as a positive thing only, because then it makes advertising more credible, it makes communication more credible if we are able to get to those answers. So these, from my point of view, are the two big changes that I would say.
You talk about collaboration, you talk about credibility, therefore transparency. And within that debate comes the whole issue of media rebates as well, probably. But in the bigger scheme of things, how do you think the relationship between the advertiser, the agency, and the media owner, how has that changed over the last few years? And who probably calls the shots now? Is it the advertiser?
I think, again, it has started becoming a much more fluid relationship. And I would like to think that it needs to progress much rapidly, much more. But because of a lot of cross-pollination of talent from advertisers to media owners to media agencies or communication agencies, so you have people who are media experts moving into advertisers areas, people who are from the media agencies starting to work with within media owner organizations. A lot of that has helped that fluidity. What has also helped, as I said, is the fact that people have realized that we need to work together. So I believe there is a lot of interaction that's happening today compared to where we were earlier. And it can only succeed if people have a common and a level playing field, not one being calling the shots versus the other. Because let's face it, I mean, we as advertisers today are creating so much of content ourselves. Yeah? So who's the publisher today? Creative ideas are coming from all sorts of places, not just from the creative agencies. So who's the creative agency and who is coming up with a big idea? It's become so fluid, and that is the way to, I believe, to succeed in the coming times, because we have to work towards those common goals. And that would mean, to an extent, that we need accountability, and accountability in terms of delivering those sales. Now, I see today that agencies, communication agencies, media agencies, have started thinking and are much more open to have remuneration systems worked out based on actual market, delivery in terms of our results. I hope and I expect that media owners would also play an active role in coming up with products and coming up with recommendations, coming up with packages that actually make it imperative for them to be part of success or failure, not just in terms of delivering reach and frequency, success and or failure in markets. And that is how remuneration models need to be worked out, in my belief, if again advertising, advertisers, and agency partners all need to work together.
Shall we talk a bit about Philips then? And what do you think is, in what direction is Philips moving its marketing communication? And are you getting the same sort of delivery that you just talked about, that you expect to get from your agency partners?
Yeah, I would like to believe we are moving in the right direction. As I said in the beginning, I believe we have a right mix of agency partners, people who are proactive, people who are helping us move ahead, people who are helping us see the future, and we are really excited working with them. Now within Philips, how we are doing communication nowadays, I can tell you about is, till recently we were a very functionally, centrally heavy organization. So all decisions being made by that select group. Over the past year or so, we have started decentralizing a lot. That does not mean that there is no overall framework, no strategy, etc. It just means that strategic frameworks are developed in consultation with markets, in consultation with businesses, because we are moving power to the businesses and markets. And that's the combination that we are moving towards in terms of developing communication, in terms of empowerment, etc. So the business market combinations are fully authorized, are fully resourced to deliver success in the markets. And that is how we see communication will also be developed. The second thing that we are doing in terms of communication is we are being very, very rigorous now on driving marketing effectiveness. And there again, that question about return on investment keeps coming up. We are testing a lot more than we used to do to make sure that the chances of success in market are higher than we would generally do. We are being very rigorous with some of the KPIs that we are measuring. And there we have much more central presence in managing those KPIs and establishing those KPIs. Because every day, I can assure you, I feel like I'm the agency within the company, right? Every day we get asked those questions by our marketeers, by the supervisory board and those sort of people. And unless we are able to make that connection, unless we are able to demonstrate that the dollars that we are spending behind communication really help sell more shaving products, more vacuum cleaners, and more coffee machines, or whatever you have, that credibility will be lost over a period of time. So in terms of communication, we are getting the right support from the agency partners, and I think the agency partners are all on board as well. As I said, they are much more open in terms of the remuneration systems that we're working together with. And we see it as a journey that we are embarking on together.
You talk about communication. Someone here mentioned digital. We haven't really talked about the obvious question, digital. How do you see that in relevance to Philips and probably the industry as a whole? I know it's a very wide open question.
Yeah, it is a wide open question. I'll try to cover some of the key things that I believe is important in the digital space. Now, for quite some time, we were very, very critical of ourselves in terms of what we are doing, or in fact what we are not doing in the digital space. Earlier this year, we did a very thorough audit of what's actually happening within the company from a digital point of view. And we quickly realized that we are not doing as bad as we thought we were. And that was really motivating, because I think a lot of self-criticism is not that great. Some of that criticism helped us move things ahead. But now we know that, for example, from a share of spend of digital versus other media, we are doing very well. What we possibly need to do is make sure that whatever we're spending, we are spending it the right way. So it's not the what of spend, but it's how we are spending that we need to manage better. There are certain focuses that we would have, things like search, things like CRM, things like social media, of course, mobile. And together with all these four things, we are focusing a lot on analytics to understand how each of these play a role. And with that analytics piece, we should be able to determine where do we put more focus versus other. Now, all this we are sort of looking into is within the context of what we call the consumer decision journey. Because we really believe, and I think the marketers within the company are quite now sold into the idea that the traditional purchase funnel sort of way of working is gone, is history now. Because people might start, for example, with 3 brands in their mind when they are embarking on a decision-making journey. Through the process, the funnel doesn't get narrower, but because somebody has recommended a brand on the way, the person has picked up something new in Facebook, etc., that becomes much more larger subset than they started off with. So it is more of a decision journey that we are focusing on. And there again, we do not say that things like television, print, radio, and out of home, just because they are medium which came much before what we call digital today has come, they are any less relevant. What we say is all has its role. I mean, to give you an analogy, just because we learn to stand up first and then walk and then run, doesn't make walking any less important. I mean, it's a way of when do you use what, and it's the same with all the media channels or all the touch points that we have. So everything is being looked at from within the consumer decision journey process, and then those are the focus areas that we spoke about. So search definitely, mobile definitely, CRM, and I spoke about social.
Clearly what you're talking about here is the change of language as to how you actually approach. Talking to a lot of the big advertisers like the P&Gs and the Unilevers of the world, they've started talking about consumers as people, wherein they put consumers at the heart of their strategy. Is it something that Philips has started looking at doing as well?
Yes, we are looking at consumers as people, yes. I'll give you an example. Sometime last year, we did an understanding of what we were doing in social media. We found out we have about 170 Facebook pages. So, you know, Facebook, yeah. Social media is in fashion, so let's open a Facebook page. Someone somewhere in one of the markets decides. And that just continued to happen through the past 3 years. And then it grew to a point where it was all not manageable. So we launched something called a spring cleaning exercise, where we sort of worked together with Facebook to close those sites, and ultimately come up with a sort of platform-based approach where we try and understand what are the passion points of people, and then make sure that we are building properties which sort of match and appeal to those passion points, rather than looking at opening up anything and everything that we want to. And that is where I think, for example, we are quite successfully driving something called Express Yourself, where for our shaving and grooming products, we believe that men like to express themselves in different ways. Someone with a beard, someone with a trimmed cut, etc., etc. And if that is the real passion point, then let's try and give something to those people, those consumers, where they can connect with us.
And as an advertiser, what do you think, if you were to sort of list the key challenges that you're facing today, what do you think are the key challenges? And I think personally, I would like to know, what is it as an advertiser that keeps you awake at night?
ROI, definitely. I mean, more so in these times. That is where it's coming to. Is the $1 that I'm spending getting me an additional sale in the marketplace? I know it's a tough question to answer, but we have to somehow find some forum, I don't know, something even within the IAA, you know, where there are experts, there are all these 3 parties, advertisers, you know, agencies, media owners coming together with a clear objective, with a clear timeline, and finding answers that are acceptable to the general industry. Because otherwise, we will continue to not know which part of advertising works, and we will continue to be challenged, I think. And we keep hearing that with digital media, everything is measurable. well then let's do it now.
And from that point, one last question is, how wary are you about the new ways of trading? Because there are, in this new ecosystem, the issues of transparency that I briefly touched upon. As an advertiser, what is your view on that?
Well, I would like to see media almost treated like a stock exchange for me. That's my point of view. But then given that it's a Friday afternoon, after lunch, lovely weather, maybe we shouldn't get more into that debate at this point and find another opportunity to discuss that in much more detail. But I have no issues at this point myself as an advertiser with the agencies that we work with. But why not open the discussion?
Okay, thank you very much.